In 1973, Sir Anthony Hopkins, an actor revered not only for his craft but for the intensity with which he embodies his roles, was preparing for a film adaptation of The Girl from Petrovka by George Pfeiffer. Eager to delve into the soul of his character, Hopkins searched every corner of London for a copy of the novel. To his dismay, the book was out of print. Frustrated but undeterred, he boarded the subway home empty-handed. And then, the inexplicable occurred. As he sat in quiet resignation, he noticed a book left behind on a seat, forgotten in the haste of some anonymous commuter. He picked it up, and there, as if conjured by fate itself, was The Girl from Petrovka. Not a copy, not a reprint. The very book he had sought. Months later, during filming, Hopkins recounted this strange twist of fortune to Pfeiffer himself. Visibly stunned, Pfeiffer revealed something even more uncanny. He had once lent his own annotated copy of the book to a friend who had lost it on the London Underground. Was this merely coincidence? Or was it something deeper, what Carl Jung called synchronicity? A meaningful coincidence, so precise and improbable that it defies logic and statistical probability? Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Carl Jung. These moments, so delicate, so perfectly timed, stir something ancient in us. They invite us to consider that life may not be a string of random events, but a mysterious dance between our inner world and outer reality. Perhaps you've experienced this. You think of someone just before they call, or a book appears exactly when its message is most needed. In such moments, it feels as though the universe leans in and whispers, "Pay attention." Jung believed that synchronicities arise from the intersection of the personal and the collective, where the psyche and the cosmos mirror one another. In these intersections, we find not randomness, but resonance. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens." Imagine standing at the edge of a life-altering decision. You're about to buy a new home. The paperwork is ready. But that morning, your car won't start. Then the taxi breaks down. You arrive late, just in time to witness something unsettling in the neighborhood. You hesitate. Days later, troubling truths about the property come to light. Was it misfortune or subtle guidance? Or perhaps you're quietly doubting a lifelong dream. You sit in stillness, searching for a sign. Suddenly, 2 butterflies land softly on your hands. A passerby says, almost offhandedly, "You're on the right path." In that moment, time dilates. The world feels aligned. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Albert Einstein. Even quantum physics nods toward this interconnectedness. The observer effect suggests that consciousness can influence matter, that awareness shapes reality. Could synchronicities be moments where our inner landscape bends the fabric of the external world? To engage with this deeper reality, we must first sharpen our attention. In the blur of routine, it is easy to overlook the sacred in the mundane. Start by noticing patterns, symbols, and repetitions. Keep a journal. Reflect. What themes return to you like echoes across time? And be willing to step into the unknown. Synchronicities rarely occur in static environments. They flourish in motion, in openness, in the brave territory of uncertainty. Trust your intuition. Listen when the world seems to murmur in metaphor. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Think of synchronicities not as answers, but as questions, gentle nudges from the unseen, asking us to look again, to look deeper. They are the universe's poetry, subtle, symbolic, and infinitely personal. Now I turn the question to you. What moments of uncanny connection have shaped your path? Did they steer you, awaken you, or affirm something you already knew deep inside? Share your story. Let's illuminate the invisible threads that bind our lives together. For in each story, we uncover the same truth. We are not alone. We are part of something vast, mysterious, and alive. If synchronicities are the universe whispering, then meaning is the language it speaks. In a world driven by logic, we're taught to seek causality, to trace every outcome back to a tangible, measurable source. And yet, the most transformative experiences in our lives often elude such linear explanations. We fall in love with someone we almost didn't meet. A chance conversation reroutes our career. A book randomly found on a park bench answers a question we hadn't yet formed. These are not accidents. These are threads of meaning, woven through the tapestry of our existence. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Søren Kierkegaard Jung suggested that synchronicity reveals a hidden order beneath apparent chaos. But perhaps it does more than reveal. It invites us. It calls us to live not just efficiently, but existentially. To ask not only, what is happening, but why is this meaningful to me? When we begin to live in this way, attuned to the symbolic, the intuitive, the poetic, we find that life becomes less like a puzzle and more like a mystery. Mysteries aren't meant to be solved. They are meant to be entered, to be lived with, to be danced with. There is a radical trust that arises from honoring synchronicity, not blind faith, but a cultivated awareness that the psyche and the world are in dialogue. This changes how we make decisions. We begin to sense when something feels aligned, not just factually, but soulfully. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Mary Oliver. And yet, synchronicity is not about passivity. It's not about waiting for signs to make our choices for us. Rather, it's about entering life with a kind of creative reciprocity. We act, and the world responds, not always with clarity, but often with symbol. A door closes, but a song plays on the radio. A friend cancels plans, and we find ourselves exactly where we needed to be. These are invitations, portals. This worldview does not deny rationality. It completes it. It recognizes that humans are not only thinkers, but meaning makers. That to be human is to dream, to intuit, to wonder, and that perhaps the deepest truths do not arrive as conclusions, but as coincidences that make the soul pause and listen. We do not see things as they are. We see them as we are. Anais Nin. So how do we cultivate this sensitivity? First, we slow down. The modern world rewards speed, but the soul speaks softly. Second, we create space. Space for stillness, reflection, wandering. And third, we honor the moments that make us feel moved, even if we cannot explain why. Write them down, speak them aloud. Share them with those who are also listening for the quiet symphony beneath the surface. Synchronicity is not about predicting the future. It is about sensing the deep intelligence of the present. It is about meeting life not as a machine, but as a mirror. Not as a test, but as a dance. Not as noise, but as a song you already know the words to. Not all synchronicities are beautiful. Some arrive as ruptures, breakups, job losses, strange detours. And yet, they still carry the unmistakable weight of necessity. As if life is not punishing us, but redirecting us, teaching us through timing. Carl Jung believed that the psyche is not interested in comfort. It's interested in wholeness. That means bringing to the surface what's been buried, what's been denied. And sometimes the only way the unconscious can speak is through events we cannot ignore. We are not here to fix the world. We are here to learn how to listen to it. David White. A synchronistic event is often a moment when life punctures our autopilot. It breaks routine, forces awareness, invites humility. In those moments, it's as if life becomes an oracle, not predicting the future, but revealing the present in a deeper key. If you've ever had your plans disrupted only to discover it saved you, if you've ever felt inexplicably drawn to a person, place, or symbol, if a piece of art seen by chance unlocked a memory or answered a question you hadn't voiced, then you've encountered the curriculum of the soul. This curriculum is not taught in schools. It's not measured by degrees or promotions. It is taught by dreams, by losses, by longings that won't leave you alone. Synchronicity is one of its tools. Synchronicity as initiation. We often speak of personal growth as a choice, but many thresholds are crossed not by will, but by encounter. Synchronicity can mark such thresholds. A moment of synchronicity is often a moment of initiation, a subtle turning point that reorients your path, not in the loud, heroic sense, but in the quiet way your heart knows something has changed. You begin to trust your dreams more. You begin to listen to what your life is saying, not just what others say you should do. You begin to walk not by maps, but by inner signals, those invisible threads that Jung once said connect us to the deeper order of the world. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. C.G. Jung. These are not just nice sentiments, they are calls. And synchronicity is how the soul dials your number. Synchronicity and the shadow. When the unconscious speaks in symbols, we often seek synchronicity in beauty, in signs that affirm us, guide us, reassure us. But what happens when synchronicity arrives not as a gift, but as a disturbance? A car accident on the day of an important meeting, a sudden illness before a life-changing trip, a conversation that pierces an old wound so precisely it couldn't be coincidence. These too are synchronistic events, but instead of validation, they offer revelation. They are signs not from the outer cosmos, but from the inner one. Signs from the shadow. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Carl Jung. The shadow is everything we repress, deny, or fail to integrate. And like any ignored force of nature, it finds its way back to us through dreams, through relationships, and often through synchronicity. It arrives as a mirror, often cracked, asking us to look again. A painful synchronicity may not immediately reveal its wisdom. It may feel cruel, but with time and reflection, we may see, this was the moment that called me inward. That forced me to confront something I'd been avoiding. That nudged me toward authenticity. Synchronicity in this light is not only a guide, it is a transformer. And transformation is rarely tidy. The archetypal field, synchronicity, and the deep structures of the psyche. When Jung spoke of synchronicity, he did not see it as random magic. He saw it as an expression of the archetypal realm, that vast inner dimension where myth, symbol, and psyche intersect. In dreams and myths across cultures, we find recurring images: the wise old man, the trickster, the journey through darkness, the rebirth in light. These are not just stories. They are psychic patterns, what Jung called archetypes, shaping the way we experience meaning itself. Synchronicity often arrives when an archetype is activated, when you're entering the hero's journey, leaving the familiar, facing the unknown, when the anima or animus appears through a sudden, intense connection that awakens your inner opposite, when the death-rebirth cycle emerges through loss, letting go, and unexpected renewal. Myths are public dreams. Dreams are private myths. Joseph Campbell. To recognize an archetype moving in your life is to feel that something larger than you is also within you. It is to sense that your personal story is braided into something universal, that your sorrow, your joy, your questions, they belong not only to you, but to the soul of the world. This is the atmosphere where synchronicity thrives. So when you feel a moment pulse with strange meaning, stop. Ask yourself, what in me is being called forth right now? What part of my story is ending and what wants to begin? What archetype might be present here, guiding, challenging, testing? And then listen. Because synchronicity does not shout, it whispers through the architecture of your life. It moves through image, symbol, pattern, and pause. Not to explain life to you, but to help you inhabit it more fully. Practicing archetypal awareness. Reading the symbols of the soul. If synchronicity is the whisper of the psyche, archetypes are its language. They don't speak in facts or instructions. They speak in patterns, in emotions that feel bigger than the moment, in symbols that light up without reason. To engage with archetypes is not to analyze them like data. It is to enter into relationship, to sit with the image, to let it unfold, to ask not, what does this mean, but who is this in me? Here are some practices to begin that dialogue. 1. Symbolic journaling. When a synchronicity occurs, write down everything, not just what happened, but what you felt, what images came to mind, what associations arose. Then ask, what archetype might this moment reflect? The wanderer? The wounded healer? The fool? What does this figure want from me? What part of my story is it trying to awaken? The goal is not to figure it out, but to let the image live in you, to invite it deeper. The dream is not something that you dream. The dream is something that happens to you. Carl Jung's second dialogue with the symbol. Choose a symbol that appeared in your synchronicity. Maybe it was an animal, a stranger's phrase, a dream figure. Now, imagine it as a living being. Sit down, close your eyes, and ask it, who are you? Why have you come? What do you want me to know? Write down the answers without judgment. You are not making it up. You are letting the psyche speak in its own voice. This is active imagination, one of Jung's most powerful methods. Just as nature has seasons, so does the soul. Ask yourself, am I in a season of descent, shadow, grief, letting go, or ascent, renewal, clarity, emergence? Is a guide figure showing up? A trickster? A threshold guardian? By naming the season, you begin to understand the logic of your chaos. You see that what feels lost may actually be part of the myth unfolding beneath the surface. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Carl Jung. Don't try to interpret everything immediately. Let certain images stay with you. Tape them on your wall. Meditate on them. Let the psyche show you how meaning evolves over time. Some synchronicities take months or years to reveal their shape. The deeper the archetype, the longer it takes to speak in full. As poet Robert Bly once said, images are the soul's native language. Understanding comes later. Why this work matters to live archetypally is not to escape reality, it is to enrich it. It's to remember that your life is not just a timeline of events, but a tapestry of symbols, thresholds, and soul initiations. Synchronicity shows us we are not walking blind. There is pattern. There is intelligence. There is a myth unfolding through you, and you are its main character. the dance between consciousness and synchronicity, living with the mystery. As we draw near to the conclusion of our exploration, it's important to recognize that the moment we begin to see synchronicity in our lives, something shifts within us. We are no longer passive observers, but active participants in a much larger dance. Synchronicity, when truly embraced, becomes a way of life, not a magical occurrence that we wait for, but a way of seeing. It invites us to wake up to the poetry of the everyday, to acknowledge the threads that tie our inner worlds to the vast outer one. The universe, in its own subtle way, speaks to us, not in grand gestures, but in the soft hum of meaning embedded in our daily experiences. In this sense, the journey is less about finding definitive answers and more about deepening our connection to the symbolic, archetypal, and mysterious forces that shape us. To understand synchronicity is to recognize that life is not merely a series of isolated events. It is an intricate dance where every step is interwoven with meaning, with the unconscious, and with something greater than ourselves. When we begin to feel connected to the deeper currents of our life, synchronicity becomes not an accident, but an invitation. James Hillman. The more we engage with these synchronistic moments, the more we begin to see the world as a living, breathing reflection of our inner world. Our desires, fears, hopes, and questions become reflected back to us in the strangest, most beautiful ways. We start to realize that every moment is an invitation to see more deeply, to listen more closely, to understand that everything, even the smallest events, is a part of the larger story of our unfolding. Living with uncertainty. The role of trust. But there's one final piece to the puzzle. Trust. Synchronicity doesn't happen on demand. It doesn't follow our timelines or expectations. It arrives when it is ready, and when we are ready to meet it. To truly engage with synchronicity, we must be willing to sit with the unfamiliar, to live with the uncertainty of not knowing what is coming next, and yet trusting that whatever it is, it will bring us closer to who we are becoming. This is where true transformation occurs, not in seeking control, but in allowing ourselves to be guided by something greater, something that connects the dots of our lives in ways we could never anticipate. A final reflection. Now, as we approach the end of this conversation, I invite you to pause and reflect on your own experiences with synchronicity. Have there been moments in your life where the universe seemed to speak directly to you through timing, chance, or coincidence? How have these moments shaped your journey? Can you remember a time when something unexpected happened and it felt like it was guiding you towards something greater? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Let's start a dialogue. Because in sharing these stories, we not only deepen our own understanding of synchronicity, but we also invite the collective wisdom of the community to illuminate the paths we are walking. What synchronicities have shaped your life in ways you could not have anticipated? How did they guide or inspire you? Let's explore this mystery together.